It's time for the latest in the world of K-sports, from football friendlies to the KBO and to MLB. We've got it all covered by our sportscaster Jason Lee, who's joining us in the studio. Hello, Jason. Welcome back.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Bella.
All right, Jason. Korea played a couple of soccer games. I'm saying soccer because it happened in North America. That happened in the past week. And let's talk about the first game first. Korea against the U.S. and Korea won 2-0. And although I'm not a football expert or a soccer expert, I would have to say that's quite a great game for Korea, right, against the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. is technically ranked higher than Korea in terms of the FIFA standing. So certainly to take a 2-0 win against them, I think certainly a good result in the end. And I thought, the game was much closer than the score would indicate, first and foremost. But the first thought that came to me after this game was, I thought Cho Hyun-woo might just be the best keeper that Korea has ever had. Ooh. And, obviously, Lee Eun-jae is the gold standard when you talk about keepers in Korea. Of course, he was amazing in helping Korea stop a penalty shot en route to reaching the quarterfinals in the 2002 World Cup, especially in their match against Spain. But the more and more that I watch Cho Hyun-woo play, I really think he is simply that much better at blocking balls. I mean, his reaction time is incredible. He's 7 centimeters taller than Lee Eun-jae, and that's just his height from toe to head. So you factor in his wingspan, he's going to be able to get to balls maybe 15, 20 centimeters further on each side. And when you watch that game against the U.S., he made some saves that had no business being stopped. So it's great to see him playing well. I'm really glad that he was named K-League MVP last season, but I kind of think it's time for him to maybe get some international recognition as well, perhaps get a contract overseas rather than only playing in Korea. And maybe, the upcoming World Cup will be an opportunity for him to play to a bigger audience.
But we need him in Korea, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's been playing so well for his team as well. But beyond Cho Hyun-woo in the game against the U.S., I would say obviously Sung-mun stood out for his goal from a very sharp angle down the left wing. And then he also set up a really nice goal for Lee Dong-kyun as well. So Sung-mun, as usual, played very well. And the U.S. media was talking about him in that game, saying, how could the U.S. team just, leave him alone as much as they did? So they're very critical of the U.S. team in not doing a good job in marking Sung-mun, thinking like, obviously, that's just not a guy that you should be leaving alone. Other players, Lee Jae-sung also had a great game, but he eventually left the game with a hamstring injury, and it looks like he'll probably miss a significant amount of time. So our thoughts are certainly going to be with him and his recovery. He is going to be a key player for Korea. You would think, a hamstring injury, he should be fine by the World Cup next year. But at the same time, you want him to still play for his team in Germany as well. So hopefully he'll get better very soon.
Let's hope so. And I wish there would be a week we would not talk about injuries.
I know. Yeah,
and yes, but unfortunately it happens, especially with the hamstring.
Yeah, and one of their better players too.
Right.
And he's definitely a top 5, perhaps a top 3 player on the national team, I would say.
Okay, let's hope for his recovery soon.
Definitely. And I knew Cho Hyun-woo was a great keeper, but to hear from you, maybe perhaps the best Korean keeper they had, it's amazing. And I really look forward to, maybe getting some love calls from abroad, of course, more chances for him to play abroad. And I also want to talk about the Tuesday game against Mexico as well, which was Wednesday Korea time, which ended in a 2-2 draw. What kind of stood out in this match?
Yeah, certainly a great game. Korea, they surrendered the first goal. They scored 2 to, flip things over, but then they gave up a goal in injury time to settle for a draw. So a little bit unfortunate in the result, but at the same time, they showed some grit being able to catch up after conceding the first goal. First off, I would say Hong Myung-bo used pretty much a different lineup, including a different keeper, as longtime national keeper Kim Sung-gyu had a chance to kind of remind Hong Myung-bo of his abilities as well, and kind of say, hey, I'm pretty good as well. And he played fine, but again, I'm just really impressed every time I see Cho Hyun-woo play. But, it's good to have 2 great keepers as well. So otherwise, Lee Gang-in, I would say, stood out once again in this game. His creative passes, he had a couple of really long passes that set up some great opportunities that they did not score on. But again, showing his abilities. He did not start against the U.S., but he did get the start in this game. So I think Hong Min-bil experimenting with different player chemistry. So it's kind of interesting to see. Oh Hyun-gyu scored the go-ahead goal for Korea with just 15 minutes left, and he looked dangerous throughout the game, but he also missed a lot of opportunities. So a bit of a mixed result for him, I would say. Again, Son Heung-min did not start this game, but he did enter the game to start the second half, and he made an immediate impact, scoring the game's tying goal at the 65th minute mark on an absolute rocket. He just blew this by the keeper through his hands. It didn't matter that he was there. And it was a left-footed shot.
Right.
So Sonny showing as his ambidextrous abilities again with an absolute rocket of a left footer. The one other player that I did want to mention was Jens Kastrup. We talked about him a bit the last time a couple weeks ago. He's the half German, half Korean player that was recently added to the national team. And I've got to say that I like what he brings to the team. He definitely adds a lot of grit and toughness. He might not be as skilled as some of the top players on the team, but he's the kind of player that I would say every team needs. You want a guy who's kind of leading by example, doing the dirty work that not all players are capable of doing in his style. And I think he's going to be a good influence on this team in the future. I hope to see a lot more of him on the national team.
Same here, as a person with a German background. And I did also read that in his first game as in the national team, that his mother was like crying and screaming watching the game, according to his brother. So.
I can only imagine.
Yes, and that's probably because his mother is Korean and his father is German. So it must be a very proud moment.
He made a big decision because now that he's played for the Korean national team on the senior level, he is, prolonging, or he's essentially saying that he's not going to play for the German national team from here on in. So the fact that he's on the Korean senior squad now, he's with Team Korea now.
Right, but I wonder what his dad would think about it. That's a different story. Now, there has also been quite a lot of news surrounding the Korean players in the Major League Baseball.
Yes.
So let's start with the news of Kim Ha-seong switching teams from Tampa Bay to Atlanta.
Yeah, quite an unexpected development, I would say. I didn't really see this coming, although maybe I should have. So what actually happened was that Kim Ha-seong was released by the Tampa Bay Rays, which, again, a little bit surprising. He wasn't playing great, but it was only a small sample size since he was returning from a shoulder injury. Just played 24 games before having the plug pulled on him. And I think the reason that they went with this decision is because they've got a young shortstop named Carson Williams, and he's seen as the team's shortstop of the future. He's a young prospect. He's got good power, speed numbers, not the best hitter overall, and certainly not as good defensively as Kim Ha-seong. So in the end, Kim Ha-seong was released, and I think what the original plan was to have Kim Ha-seong, finish out his 2-year contract with them because he's under contract for him for another year next year, and then have Williams come up sometime late next year was probably the plan. But I guess they felt that Williams is probably ready, and they decided to push the agenda up a little bit, and that basically made Kim expendable. And my guess is that Tampa Bay probably shopped him around a month ago at the trade deadline and maybe got some interest from other teams, which kind of told them that, you know what, there are teams that are interested in him. So even if we didn't complete the trade, if we release him, somebody might sign him, meaning that they would also have to pay his $16 million salary next year. So Tampa Bay gets to save a little bit of money. They're not really big spenders. So I think that was the thought process that the Rays were thinking. And they were right, because the Braves claimed him off waivers as he'd struggled all season. They've been struggling all season. in finding a shortstop. They really didn't have anyone for next season as well. So I think this actually makes a lot of sense for both of them because Kim, at the very least, he's a really good defensive shortstop. He's won a Gold Glove, and he can add a little bit of pop with the bat as well as some speed with his legs. I think he's really going to make Atlanta a lot better. And Kim Ha-seong gets to be on a legitimate contender. Atlanta's having a bad season this year, but I think they could be a quality team going into next season as well. So we'll see. He's at a small sample size because he's returning from an injury. So I think what the Braves are hoping is that he just gets some reps into the position for the last few weeks of this season, and then ideally he'll be ready to start next year as their starting six.
But he has already made a home run, right? Hit a
home run already.
For Atlanta, yes. So that's a news for him. And also he was joined by Jung-hoo as well, who actually recently hit a home run as well. So please tell us about that as well.
Yeah, that's right. As you mentioned, Kim Ha-seong, only 5 games with Atlanta. He's already got a home run for them. But Jung-hoo, one of the hottest players lately. He's been red hot as of late, hitting .341 since August the 1st. And as you mentioned, he just hit his 8th home run of the year 2 days ago against Arizona. And I think overall, Jung-hoo is having probably about the season that most people would have expected. Maybe his numbers could be slightly better, but I think the fact that he's coming off a shoulder surgery, it was always going to take a little bit of time and tempered expectations for this season. So if he can stay hot for the last 3 weeks of the season, maybe hit a couple more home runs to reach double digits and maybe raise his average a little. I think he's at 270 right now. So if he could bump that up to, let's say, 280, 285, I think the Giants would definitely feel much better about the $113 million that they've got invested in him so far.
All right. I still remember just a few weeks ago when he hit his 7th home run on his 27th birthday. I remember it. Yeah, that number was just easy to remember. But really doing great there. But one more baseball story we want to ask you about is, Jason. It involves Jung-hoo's former teammate, Sung-mun. And he was named KBO's best player of the month of August.
Yeah.
That was quite a surprise. And it seems that he now asked the Kium Heroes to post him to the Major League Baseball. So what is that about? And do you think he has great chances overseas?
We'll have to see. So, I mean, the Kium Heroes have been the team that has sent every one of them. Kim Hae-seong, Kim Ha-seong, Jung-hoo, Kang Jung-ho before that. I mean, Park Byung-ho as well. So it seems like everyone that's played for Kium that's been any good, seems to get a call from MLB, Sung-mun, hoping that he's next in line. And I'll be honest, I mean, I've never really thought of Sung-mun as a Major League Baseball player, but that's mostly because he's never really produced that much over his 11-year career so far. Having said that, he is producing right now, and better late than never. Like I said, I would say that he's been kind of more of an average, maybe slightly above average KBO player in past years. But as you mentioned, he was Player of the Month for August, 8 home runs, 726 slugging percentage for the month. And the last 2 seasons now, he's slugged over 500 with an OPS over 900. So I guess my answer would be you never know. I mean, I don't think he comes with the same enthusiasm as guys like Jung-hoo or Kim Hae-seong or Kim Ha-seong. But remember, there are 30 Major League Baseball teams, and you only need one of those teams to sign him. So you never know. And, he might have to take a 2-way deal, similar to what Kim Hae-seong got. But I would say under the right circumstances, it's certainly possible. And we'll see what happens in the offseason.
Right. You never know. And also, it could be actually a stepping stone for him if he does make that progress. And then he will get better than a little better than average player, as you mentioned,
Absolutely.
Jason. So
sometimes just getting the call, it gives you more confidence as well. And he just signed a really big contract with Kium. So even if he doesn't go, I mean, he's got a nice fat contract with the Heroes anyways.
Right. We'll see what happens. And thank you very much, Jason, for all of the K-Sports updates.
Pleasure as always.
And thank you, Bella, as always. So we're going to see you back here tomorrow.
Yes, I'll see you back tomorrow.